Hey, all you iFund City fans, this is Brian. Hey, we wanted to provide some transparency to all of our customers out there on how lenders use three ratios to structure loans. So to dive right in, we wanted to, well, first kind of walk through what the key ratios are, and then I'll give some context in how those ratios are applied to a customer and a particular project. So first, and the way to the way these ratios are used in really kind of construction loans, fix and flip loans, fix and flip projects, renovation projects, really kind of that 12 to 24 month short-term loan. So the first one, loan to after repair value. Probably everybody's most familiar with that one. So it's a total loan amount divided by the ARV. Then you've got loan to total cost, which is the total loan amount divided by the total cost of the project. Then you have the third one is the initial loan amount, or the day one loan amount divided by the as-is value or the purchase price. These are the kind of the definitions. The range, or I like to call them kind of thresholds, are really vary from lender to lender. Here, for illustrative purposes, this is really kind of what we're utilizing today. So loan to after repair value up to 65%, loan to cost up to 85%, and loan to the day one, or that initial loan amount, up to 70%. What is the objective of these three ratios? There's a handful of objectives. Really, I kind of think of it as three objectives. One is profitability of the deal. So when you think about loan to ARV, that really helps the lender understand the profitability of the overall project. And then secondarily, if you're planning on holding the property beyond this short-term loan, what's the ability to refinance out into a different loan, a longer term loan if it's a rental property. So that's two objectives. So ratios 2 and 3 are really designed to have the customer have equity or skin in the game. And so loan to cost is for high renovation ratios. It's an ability to have a little bit more skin in the game than the loan to as-is value, which we'll show some examples down in the bottom. But both of them, the way I would think of it is, they're both used to ensure that the customer has skin in the game and equity in the project. So there's three ways, real big ways in which these ranges, up to 65% or up to 85% or up to 75% change, really based upon the customer and the project. So the three kind of main pillars, as I call them, are credit score. The higher the credit score, there's possibly more leverage, lower interest rate. Experience, how many projects has the customer completed? More experience, possibly more leverage, and or lower interest rate. And then the project itself, how much equity is in the deal, what type of project it is. There might be, if it's a new construction project, it might require, a little bit more equity than a fix and flip. So this is how a lender will use that information, these three main kind of pillars, in order to determine what those thresholds are for the three key ratios. So let's walk through an example quickly. So here's our example. And then we've got our three tests, our three thresholds over here to the right. So the purchase price, $300,000 purchase price with $150,000 rehab, so total project cost of $450,000. As is value of 300, which equals the purchase price, after repair value of 575,000. And so here's what the lender would say is the loan amount. And let's go through and understand the thresholds. So if you remember from above, loan to ARV 65%, threshold 2 is loan to cost 85%, and loan to as is value at 70%. So this is the total loan thresholds. You've got a holdback amount, and then the delta is your initial loan amount day one. And so what I did down here at the bottom is determine where we're passing and failing different thresholds, so that whichever has the minimum or all three pass is where you would see the loan, how the loan would be structured. So it's the minimum, or to think of it as where do they pass all three thresholds. So in this example, as we walk through it, purchase price of 300, rehab of 150, and an ARV of 575. So if our threshold is our first kind of test, our first threshold is the ARV. So we multiply, so we got an appraisal back that said the property is worth $575,000. We multiply that times the 65%, and this gives you a total loan amount of $373,750. You back off the holdback for the rehab, and you've got an initial loan amount of $223,750. So as you can see here, the loan to ARV is at 65%, the loan to cost is 83%, and the loan to as is value or the purchase price is the 75%. Our next test is loan to cost. We multiply the 85% times the $450,000, and we have a total loan amount of $382,500. You back off the holdback, which is 100% of the $150,000, and you have a day one loan amount of $332,500. These are how these ratios compute down below using just this loan, just the structuring of this loan. And then threshold or test 3 is the as is loan to as is value. And so you multiply the initial loan amount. So 300 times 70 gets you to $210,000, holdback of $150,000, and you got a total loan of $360,000. So you have a 63% of loan to ARV, an 80% loan to cost, and a 70 loan to as is value. And so as you can see here, it passes all three of the threshold tests, and therefore this is how the loan would be then structured, is based upon which of these threshold or which of these tests it passes all three of them. So let's use another, let's just go through and do another quick example. Let's say it's a purchase price of purchase price of $100,000, rehab budget of $150, total project cost of $250,000. Our as is value of purchase price equals that. And let's say our after repair value is let's say it's not that good of a deal, and it's but you still want to do it for whatever reason. Let's say it's $300,000. So in that scenario, as you can see, we cap it gets hit at threshold 1, which is the 65%. The total loan would be $195,000. Holdback amount would be $150,000. The initial day one loan amount would be $45,000 of your purchase price of the $150,000. And so, that's, we're not going to tell you that you shouldn't do the deal, but this is a function of, okay, we don't think it's that good of a deal. And so, that's why that hit, when I talked about profitability up above, that's why this this threshold, was picked up here, and you have to bring, 55% of the purchase price to the table. Let's say it's worth, a little bit more, and we go to 350,000. So now after repair value, the appraisal came back at 350,000. A little bit, much better deal here. It passes the loan to ARV threshold. However, loan to cost and loan to as is, it does not pass. And so this one we would look at loan to cost, the loan to cost threshold, where the total loan amount would be $212,000. The holdback would be $150,000. The day one loan amount would be $62,500. And as you can see here, it passes all three of these tests, the loan to cost test. If we were to look at test 3 or threshold 3, the loan to as is amount, if we do 70% of this, it fails the loan to cost ratio test because it would be at 88%. It still passes the loan to ARV, but it fails the loan to cost. And so we're looking for which loan structure across these three ratios, or these three test thresholds, does it pass? And that determines your total loan amount, and really how much do you have to bring to the table day one for the project to work, which is that initial loan amount less the purchase price. So, well, I hope everybody found this information, transparent, useful. If there's comments, questions, hit us up. We're available on LinkedIn, YouTube's, Facebook, or reach out to us on email. We're more than happy to walk you through this in more detail. And thanks. Hope everybody has a great rest of the day.